I have with me Honorable South African High Commissioner Professor Anil Sooklal. Professor Anil Sooklal, thank you for joining in on Times Now. Let's talk about the big talking point for both our countries, which is going to be India's chairmanship of BRICS. From the South African point of view, High Commissioner, what are those key areas where you think India can contribute to the BRICS? Is it going to be, say, finance, climate, or the issue of the global south?
Well, thank you, Akanksha, for having me. Uh, Look, I think first and foremost, we must acknowledge that India has been doing a sterling job in chairing BRICS. India took over the BRICS chairship in January this year at a very difficult time that we are experiencing on the global stage. And I think what India has demonstrated over the past 7 months or so of its chairmanship is continuity. And it's also demonstrated the resilience of BRICS. We've had over 200 meetings thus far under India's chairship. About 9 of these have been ministerial tracks, and there's still about 10 or so ministerial tracks scheduled before the summit in September this year. Now, India, I think, has demonstrated the continuity of BRICS. In fact, the theme they have chosen and the focus on building resilience, innovation, cooperation and sustainability are all deeply embedded already within the BRICS family in terms of what has been transpiring over the past almost 2 decades. And it's significant. This year marks the 20th anniversary since first the foreign ministers of BRICS met on the margins of UNGA in 2006. So it's also a milestone in terms of BRICS cooperation. Many didn't expect BRICS to consolidate in the manner that they have, and the global impact it's had and continue to have, especially now in its expanded form with 10 members and 10 partner countries. BRICS has become a very powerful voice, not just a voice, but a very powerful actor on the global stage in terms of championing not only issues pertaining to our respective countries and member states, but more importantly, collectively, as championing the challenges we are facing as countries of the world, not just as a global south. BRICS has gone beyond that. While that is the major focus of the BRICS family in bringing to the fore issues pertaining to the global south, BRICS has been a very inclusive entity from the very beginning.
I'm going to touch upon that as well, but let's talk about the issues of the global south, which have been so eloquently and so sincerely fronted by both India and South Africa. So when we talk about, say, the agenda of the global south, what are going to be those areas where you'll be touching upon, say, key issues, whether it comes to reform or say global finance, climate? What are going to be those issues?
Well, if you take the 3 major pillars around which BRICS cooperation has been centered and continue to be centered, we start first in terms of global governance. We live in a very difficult period where multilateralism has been marginalized, undermined, and all of our multilateral institutions, be it the United Nations, its Security Council, which is almost paralyzed, as well as our global multilateral issues on the trade fronts, the World Trade Organization, our global financial issues, the Bretton Woods Institution. All of these are in need of absolute reform, and we have been calling collectively as BRICS for the reform of global governance structures on the political front, the trade front, the financial front. And this has been a constant. If you look at every BRICS summit declaration, from the very first summit right up to the present time, this have been the constant message from BRICS leaders. And we continue to champion these because the current global structure is obsolete. Even Secretary General of the UN has openly said this. Global leaders, both from the north and south, have indicated that the structures that we created in 1945 are outdated. They don't speak to the challenges and needs of the present day global system. And BRICS has been at the forefront of this. And we will continue. I think at this summit, again, you'll see a very strong voice calling for reform, global governance institutions from the UN, especially its Security Council, the WTO, as well as the global financial architecture.
Right. So Iran and UAE are now full members of BRICS. How challenging is it going to be for India to hold the grouping together and urge for or emphasize on economic cooperation in these deeply divided geopolitical times, given the tensions in West Asia?
Well, I think it's to the credit of both India and BRICS that despite the geopolitical fractures on the security front, where you have two BRICS members that are at the moment in a difficult situation because of the war between the USA and Iran, we are still able to continue functioning at BRICS. Both Iran and UAE have attended all of the meetings, be it at the ministerial track, be it at expert groups and at Sherpa and finance tracks. The fact is, I think both recognize the value of remaining engaged and the value of having a consolidated front as countries of the global south. And I think it's to the credit of India's leadership that India enjoys strong relations with both the UAE, with Iran, and all BRICS members, that despite these challenges, BRICS is able to still come together and have these meetings with substantive outcomes.
What have you observed when it comes to India's role over there? Interesting you highlight that, because we've seen it's not just Iran or UAE, you also have Egypt and Ethiopia added to BRICS. So how has India held the grouping together, especially as the chair of the grouping this year? And how is it ensuring that it's not getting politicized, rather say the key agendas are remaining as the key focus?
Well, again, I think the reason why we are making progress under these very difficult circumstances, including fault lines within BRICS, was because India is a trusted partner to all BRICS members, and I think globally as well. India is a country that does not put its own agenda on the forefront, but rather it looks towards the collective, being inclusive and working with the collective. And that's what we have seen at the BRICS meeting. And therefore, despite these challenges, we are able to make progress, including with the member states that at the moment have difficulties with each other. And that's because of the leadership and the trust factor that India has.
What are your expectations from, say, in terms of concrete outcomes that India can deliver upon? Is it going to be food security? Is it going to be payments infrastructure, or even digital payments, something that India and Prime Minister Modi also prides himself in? And how can India and South Africa co-lead?
Well, I think what we expect in terms of major movement is on the financial front. You'll recall that under South Africa's chairship in 2023, this issue came up very sharply, and our finance ministers and Reserve Bank governors were tasked specifically to look at alternative payment platforms and payment settlement system. This has been ongoing work, and given the current global environment, especially in terms of financial sanctions, tariffs, trade sanctions, I think BRICS countries, there is a move to look at how we become less dependent on outside forces in terms of global trade, in terms of global financial systems, and I think we'll see major movement on this front during the summit.
On a lighter note, for all our viewers out there, High Commissioner, I want to ask you three commonalities that India and South Africa share.
Democracy. I think we're both vibrant democracies and we are wedded to the values of democracy, human rights and fundamental freedoms. And I think we also have a very strong people-to-people connect as developing countries with the same aspirations, not only for our respective people and countries, but creating a more just, inclusive global order.
And for those who don't know, we also have one connect, that is High Commissioner Anil Sooklal, who happens to have Indian roots as well. High Commissioner, what is it that you have taken to South Africa from India, though you're very much here at the moment, or brought from South Africa?
Well, my roots are from India, and always say that my soul belongs to Africa. I'm an African in every sense of the word, but my heart is in India because that's where my ancestry is. So
Hindi
both
mein
my
bol ke
heart and
batayenge?
soul is merged into Africa and India.
Can you say that in Hindi?
I can't really say that Hindi. My Hindi is very limited, but I always say that India is my karma bhumi, and South Africa is my janma bhumi, and I'm very privileged to straddle both these great worlds.
Is there anything common when it comes to our culture or cuisine?
Very much so. Indian cuisine is part of the mainstream of South African cuisine. It's not Indian cuisine is just enjoyed by people of Indian origin.
Give me examples.
It's national. It's national. Look, if you look at Indian sabji, curries, everyone loves butter chicken. Everyone loves tandoori in South Africa. Everyone loves biryani across the board. So these are national South African cuisine, even though its roots are in India.
So from BRICS to biryani, thank you, Honorable High Commissioner, for giving us your
My
precious
pleasure.
time.
Thank you.
We look forward to a fruitful and very productive BRICS meeting with
Thank you so much for having
Thank
me
you.
on Times
Thank
Now.
you.
Thank
Thank
you.